put it that 90% of India is either tribal, lower caste, or Dalit, right, and or minority, and their participation in the governance of the country, in the various institutions of the country, in the media of the country is lacking. And so what we propose is a survey to make transparent the reality of how power is shared in India.
The caste census.
The caste census.
Okay. But just to stay on the same topic, all the secretaries are from the administrative service, correct? Now, the US Treasury has economists, the UK Treasury recruits people separately with expertise in economic policy making. But the Indian Finance Ministry is the domain of IAS officers, of which very few understand finance. Will you professionalize the Finance Ministry, liberate it from IAS officers who criticize it, and appoint a Dalit scholar like B.R. Ambedkar as
No, I
Finance
think that, look, the problem is much broader than that, okay? The problem is about participation of weaker sections of lower castes, in particular Dalits, across the board, right? So I'll shock you by saying that if you were to look at the top 200 corporates in India, and you were to look at their management teams, and you were to look at their CEOs, you wouldn't find anybody from the lower castes, right? You'd find only people from the upper castes. Same with the Indian media. If you look at media, you'd find that it's the preserve of upper castes. You look at the influencers on social media, you look at the big columnists, you look at the people who control the media infrastructure. Again, it's the same issue, right? So there is a very small percentage of India which is controlling the entire infrastructure. What you're proposing doesn't actually solve that problem.
No, not proposing, I'm just asking.
Yeah, what you're asking doesn't actually solve that problem. That problem is a much broader problem, and it's the first step in understanding that problem is actually in understanding what the reality is. So what is the participation of lower castes, of tribals, of Dalits in, for example, the corporate world? What is the participation in the media? What is the participation in our bureaucracy? The point I made about the secretaries is that if you look at the Indian government, 70 secretaries basically determine the direction of it, right? And I made this point again and again in the election that 90% of India doesn't have representation among those people.